Happy Tuesday, beloved hearts. This is Anrita Melchizedek, and I'd like to welcome you to today's event, the New Earth 222222 Light Codes Activation. And what an amazing day it is. It's essentially a shift in consciousness for all life upon the sacred earth, where those that are deeply unconscious are waking up to recognizing and realizing that the codes of sovereignty and freedom and self-expression are available, as well as deeper levels of community. And the heart has been ignited and activated through this beautiful threefold flame of power, love, and wisdom, which I will talk about a little bit more in a moment. I wanted to express a little bit more of not only what this day is about, but an understanding of New Earth and the New Earth energies and what we are experiencing collectively as we shift into that next level of cosmic Christ consciousness and hold our frequency there and expand our bandwidth collectively as the I Am Avatar race, and all that this brings for us as the future of humanity, as the light of God upon the sacred earth. So essentially, what is being experienced at the moment is the merging of multidimensional timelines, and they're occurring simultaneously. So it just really depends where we are on our level of cosmic conscious awareness of what we're going to be experiencing in each now moment. So what is being expressed and felt is just a deepening of that beautiful flame of divine love that is expressed through us as a divine feminine. And as we hold that love frequency, as we just come into that nurturing self-love, self-appreciation, and connect ever deeper, not only into our loving hearts, but into the heart of Gaia as our divine mother, we are connecting into that unity grid of divine love, and we're receiving a lot of those templates and light codes that come through from the unity grid of divine love. And essentially, it's allowing for a greater flow of our own beautiful, magnificent light through the magical innocent child, or what we call the Christ child. But before we can fully embody that, we take that divine, feminine, nurturing, loving frequency, and we clear the karmic timelines, we clear the 3D, 4D timelines, and we start to merge into the expression of our divine masculine energy. And then we birth the magical innocent child, our holy innocence, our purity, our divinity, and we stay within that sacred space for a while, because that is essentially 0 point. That is essentially being in the heart of love. And that's part of that dimensional shift in consciousness. And simultaneously, of course, we're experiencing not only the photonic light frequencies that are activating within the body, but also the plasma light frequencies that come through from the sun, from the moon, and of course from the ray frequencies that are overlighting us upon this sacred earth. So I wanted to break down a little bit of an understanding of essentially what is New Earth and how are we experiencing the 3D, 4D, 5D, 6D timelines, because that's really where we are collectively. And from there, how these beautiful ray frequencies are activating for us in these merging timelines and deepening levels of expression of our own consciousness as these beautiful flames of divinity and, of course, light of God. So I think we're all quite familiar with the 3D timelines, and there's absolutely no way for us to bypass those karmic timelines. It's essentially, we come here mostly very unconscious, very fast asleep, and we have to awaken through the initial 3D timelines. But in that deep sleep, in that unconscious state, we experiencing a lot of those karmic contracts, which is also part of the soul agreement that we took on to not only shift frequency ourselves and to understand what others are going through the full range of human emotion, but also essentially to elevate frequency upon this sacred earth, to elevate the consciousness, to hold the consciousness as the vibrating stargates of divine love. And so we move through the karmic timelines until that first level of awakening. And that first level of awakening for many of us, of course, leading up to that, is that perceived sense of things haven't felt right, or that things are just not fitting. Our life is not fitting of how we imagined it would be, or where we would like to be. And we start to fill that void with the light of God in our own way. And that's our initial awakening. And so for many of us, it depends on the collective resonance that we've had through most of those timelines, is the resonance that we enter into first, which is possibly angelic or it's galactic, the Christed ETs. For some, it's the archangels and angels. Others, like just deepening into the mystery school teachings, ancient Egypt, Atlantis, Lemuria consciousness. Others, it's just the dolphins, the whales, the fairy timelines, nature, even the shamanism, the healing, herbal energy. All of those are timelines that we have experienced in different multidimensional timelines, in different levels of our own consciousness, running parallel to this timeline that we're experiencing at this time. And that first awakening, then we're connecting to our soul frequency, and we're connecting to all these beautiful angelic beings and illumined beings of light from on high that are existing fifth dimension and beyond, for us to be able to get the assistance that we need in amplifying our frequency, our vibration, and to have the awareness, to have the tools to be able to work with a lot of those old programmings, to dismantle the old earth programmings, false beliefs, and judgments, simultaneously starting to merge into the new earth timeline, starting to merge multidimensionally through these various timelines. And in fact, it's 144 soul ray aspects of self, which we also call the monadic consciousness, or we call the Christed over self, or the beloved I am presence. It doesn't really matter. All these terms are interchangeable, but we integrate the soul frequency. That's when we start to move fourth dimensionally. We start to integrate into that photonic light frequency, which is the soul embodiment. And as we deepen into that, then we shift in consciousness. All of this is about dimensional shifting in consciousness, and we can shift into various timelines simultaneously. And how we do that is that we actually experience that state of consciousness and hold that consciousness field for long enough that the light body DNA starts to program the light pockets or packets of information from within. And this is essentially how we start to initially elevate our consciousness. And connecting into nature is a huge part of that for us too, where it's being out in nature, where it's being in the mountains and in the sea. And there are many, many reasons for that, not only in just grounding and connecting to the sacred heart of Gaia, and of course into the beautiful grids of light and the unity grid or crystalline grid that exists within us and around us, because that's connecting us in cosmic Christ consciousness to one another, to what we call the I am avatar consciousness of light, which is the higher light of all awakening and awakened souls upon the sacred earth, or the beloved I am presence. And as we're doing that what we will find, this is as we're moving from the fourth dimension into the fifth dimension, where the clearing still goes on, but it's done now in observational awareness as the witnessing presence of the beloved I am. So we're no longer in that field of reactivity. And from the third, fourth dimensional perspective, well, at least from the fourth dimensional perspective, we're deepening into expanding the heart at that particular time, where we are forgiving, where we're loving, where we're releasing judgment, where we're releasing blame. And as we hold the consciousness, we start to shift into the fifth dimension. So the fifth dimension is initially a state of consciousness where we enter into 0 point. And as we enter into 0 point and the heart awakens, simultaneously the pineal gland has been activated, because we're releasing the density. We're starting to release and dismantle a lot of those old frequency programs. And perhaps what release is not the right word, but that is what we call it or experience it as initially. but essentially we're transcending those old timelines, which are then collapsing and dissolving as we refine our frequency and move into higher dimensional states of consciousness. But that's just the first stage for us. So as we deepen into the experience of soul embodiment, which is a photonic light activating through the body, we experience these almost like waves upon waves of energy, but everything is like a surreal dream state. Some people call it like free floating. You feel like a sense of, you just, in some ways, that lack of density. The physical body can't do a lot of the things that it did before. You actually essentially slow down. You can't work the way you did before. You can't exercise the way that you did before. You're just shifting perspectives a lot of the time into various levels of truth and consciousness, while you have to go through and into every subatomic particle in the body for the crystalline consciousness to activate. So that's essentially then the physical ascension process, which usually only happens from about the 6th dimension. So that initial dimensional stage, what we're doing and what we're experiencing is simply being in the heart of love. And the pineal gland is activating, and as we're releasing the density within the physical body, more spiritual light is coming in. So while the physical body doesn't hold the same physical strength, our light is increasing, our strength is in light. But we slowed down so completely, and for a very, very long time, it's actually that movement forward is more of the doing energy, which is the integration of that divine masculine frequency and divine father energy, which is very much that 6th dimensional level of consciousness. And as we integrate the divine feminine, the divine mother, and the divine father, the divine masculine, then we start to birth the holy innocence, the magical innocent child. And this then allows for new levels of not only cosmic conscious awareness, but simultaneously we're traveling through and merging with our multidimensional selves, solar level, interstellar, galactic, intergalactic, universal, multi-universal levels. So we are moving through so many of these timelines, which we may know or experience or remember as those ancient memories start to come online, of timelines of being an initiate, timelines of being the priest and priestess, timelines of self-mastery, timelines of being a mermaid or a dolphin, or being a Syrian or a Pleiadian or Andromedan. It doesn't really matter. It's really essentially we're integrating all these multidimensional aspects of self that are our soul. And our soul and our light body are the same. It's just the light within us. The light within us is our soul consciousness. And in the beginning of that journey, the soul and the luminous beings, they're all 5th dimensional and above, are outside of us. And as we deepen into the integration of our own beloved I am presence, everything starts to come within. So New Earth is created from within, but it's also a connection into Gaia initially, into that deep heart of love and unity consciousness, which is expressed through Gaia as a divine mother energy that connects us as the way showers and grid keepers and portals of light into the New Earth grid, into that crystalline consciousness of light. And that is what we call the 144 unity grid of divine love, where within that we've got the sacred geometries, numerologies, fractal geometries, sound and color frequencies, as well as the energy of the ray frequencies, which I'm going to express and share a little bit more about in a minute. But we are creating from within the light packets of information, and it's almost like building blocks. We're given a little bit of that puzzle piece, and as we hold the consciousness and we expand the consciousness, for a while it will be that the consciousness expands way beyond the body, and it feels like we're just lacking in that coordination ourselves, our physical bodies, because we're still dreaming and programming everything into creation. And at some point, that consciousness just completely enters the body as complete light. And that is that first level of physical ascension. But there's not just the 5th dimension or the 6th dimension. In fact, I think that templating for us has been done by many that have gone before, up until at least the 12th dimension that we can access. But those that I've spoken to that have actually created or experienced these templates and then created it for us have experienced up to the 40th dimension, for example. And you shifting consciousness each time, and that's what today is about. It's a huge big shift in consciousness and simultaneously dissolving or collapsing the lower timelines. And the lower timeline that's primarily dissolving and collapsing right now is related to the first ray of will and power. So in terms of the ray frequencies and energies, what we experience as we start to deepen into the heart of divine love is the activation of the threefold flame of power, love, and wisdom from within, in the remembrance that this is actually plasma light frequencies. And these plasma light frequencies then expand around the body in flames of light. And those flames of light are purification flames of light. They are absolutely beautiful purification light grids that burn up all the dross, that assist in dismantling the old earth templates, programmings, false beliefs, and judgments. And so many of us that are familiar with the frequency and the energy of the rays perhaps understand or have heard the story in 104,000 BC, where Sanat Kumara was put out a call to 144,000 light beings in different star systems and galaxies to bring their light and energy and frequency to the sacred earth, to lift the consciousness and to hold the unity grids in place. And part of this then from Venus was the creation of the Shambhala, the cities of light, which we know as somewhere etherically over the Himalayas and Tibet. And this frequency and energy then for many initiates to find themselves into the experience of these rays and initiations often would physically travel. The masters, as we know, the masters of the East, many of the beautiful yogis, gurus, and teachers of the past would physically find their way into the Himalayas and there was a very big vortex in Tibet as well, experiencing these rays, experiencing these initiations, making that connection to the inner plane and the rays and the masters. And so it's really recognizing now that all of that is really coming from within, where we ignite and activating our light frequency. And as we're doing this, not only are we dismantling the old frequencies and energies, but it's to recognize where this plasma light or ray frequencies are coming from. So the sun and the solar flares are bringing through the plasma light, and that's very much the crystalline consciousness, the Christ consciousness aspects of self. And the moon itself brings through the plasma light, and that's also related to although we think of it as the divine feminine, it's also actually related, that plasma light frequency, to the energy of the divine masculine. So we've got again this divine masculine, this divine feminine integrating and birthing into what we experience as a doorway of the inner Christ, as this threefold flame representing the Holy Mother, the Holy Father, and the Holy Child. And the Divine Mother for us, as I was expressing, that first level of connection is very much into the energy of Gaia. And with that, what we then deepen into is the templates of the new earth through the crystalline grids, and then start to program and activate that from within as we hold our consciousness for long enough at particular levels for the light body DNA to start to program the light body. And so we have then the solar light body where the crystals come on, and then we've got the plasma light body, and we've got the galactic light body, and we've got the God consciousness light body. There's various levels that we move through as we also multidimensionally start to merge and integrate these higher dimensional aspects of self, also running karmic timelines, because that karma is not only 3D, that karma is off planet and experienced in many different levels of ourselves. So this we can think of today essentially as that phoenix rebirthing. It's really for every man, woman, and child upon this sacred earth that are choosing the next level of the soul's forward evolution are experiencing these beautiful sun codes, which are amplifying and coming through as this beautiful golden solar sun disk within the loving heart. And within that too, we also have these mini golden solar sun disks activating because it's connected into the unity grid of divine love. And we have also these beautiful silver disks that are related more to the feminine. And these discs are activating along the spine. There's like 33 of these Sophia Christos, beautiful plasma silver discs that are activating. And all of this is done initially through the chakras and through the templating that's creating the new earth. And that's essentially a fifth dimensional frequency of consciousness and experience, because at some point, what happens then is our chakras start to merge into one unified column of light. But for a while, the lower chakras are representing the lower dimensions for us. And so we're clearing these templates, we're clearing lack of in every area of our life. And the big thing that's coming up that I've expressed at the moment is that Atlantean timelines and Lemurian timelines, but the Atlantean timelines are the fall in consciousness, and with that to elevate our consciousness into the timeline of being the priest and priestess. And the Lemurian timelines is really essentially that threefold flame. But to get to that timeline, into that rainbow light frequency, initially, we have to move through the shift and fall in consciousness by nurturing and loving, forgiving and letting go. And then we elevate our consciousness and we transcend dimensionally from one level of consciousness to another. And what happens also is not an ongoing process where we holding our consciousness. When we step into that ever-present now moment, with the heart continually activating into 0 point and starting to create the stargate of the loving heart, and we're creating also a beautiful stargate from the navel and also another one from the perineum center. These are the newer stargates, and part of this is essentially being experienced within the new earth as templates that are activating from within to hold the consciousness, and then sometimes we drop in consciousness. So when we drop in consciousness, it's because we actually have to go into that feeling or that experience again that we're still working with. And so it's quite an interesting one until we can continue to hold our consciousness and simply observe and those moments of recognizing what's coming up and very quickly releasing. But that initial stage is we actually have to go in to those old programmings, those traumas, those false beliefs, those judgments, that pain, that grief, and hold our frequency and energy there. But we do it as the light of God that we are. We do it as this beautiful, sacred, transfiguring flame. And so it's to recognize that all this work is done without judgment and without blame. And when we get to that point, we can then move very quickly from one level of consciousness into another, from one dimension into the next, because we're no longer needing to sit in it, or we're no longer reactive, and then we no longer need to experience that discomfort. And when we're experiencing it, it's also very uncomfortable because it's a very physiological process that we're moving through. So we may be experiencing a lot of heart palpitations, we may be experiencing a lot of headaches as the third eye is expanding. We may be experiencing a lot of backache. We may be experiencing a lot of stuff up and down the spine because the spine becomes an operating system. There's so many different things that are being experienced for us in this phoenix rebirthing into holding our frequency and energy in the fifth dimension, merging with the feminine, merging with the masculine, and then experiencing this physical ascension. So the physical ascension is really when the subatomic particles are becoming crystalline in consciousness. It's like the crystalline light. We're moving from the carbon-based frequency, which is the density, old earth templating, into the crystalline light, where the cells themselves actually become crystalline in consciousness. And in new earth, there are no physical ailments that are of any dis-ease or discomfort, because everything is light, and light is healing. In fact, you can think of the programmings and light packets of information that are coming online as little nanotechnology, as kind of like these just tiny little cells of intelligence that are all talking to each other, and that they're repairing and knitting as the external lines are coming on, as the spin points are vibrating to particular spin, to particular frequencies. So the faster the spin, of course, the faster the vibration. And what we're doing is that we experience that when we slow down, when everything comes to a standpoint initially, and it's just the heart activating at deeper levels in the pineal gland, and then that's also activating the pituitary, the pineal, the hypothalamus, the thalamus glands. All of that are activating simultaneously. And of course, we're all clearing what we're doing, and we're doing our service work. We're getting out there and we're sharing so much of our beautiful light and energy, because that's really what's needed now. But that's actually how we expand our light field. And so the other thing that's coming online at the same time is that we use initially the Merkaba field, which we use through the star tetrahedron, that we can also assist us, that spin, to get us into the fifth dimension and hold our consciousness there while the light body DNA starts to create or repair or bring online those new Earth template light codes. And today's the day where we are experiencing collectively, or humanity, just a deepening into that heart of love and that heart of wisdom and that heart of empowerment. But it's the heart of empowerment representing the divine masculine that is that first ray, that beautiful blue flame of will and power. And that is what's most difficult for people, because there's still so much external abuse and misuse of power. And not only have we experienced it personally and experienced our own victim persecutor consciousness that we're clearing. And from a third, fourth dimensional level of consciousness, there is the forgiveness, there is the nurturing, there is the compassion, the highest form of love, where we release that compromise, which is the anger. The anger is always compromised, where we release the judgment, where we release the grief, that sadness of what is going on this sacred earth, and we just hold it in divine neutrality through the loving heart and the wisdom of the higher mind. And as we do that, we start to experience these new realities where we're birthing this magical innocent child, which is our soul innocence. And that soul innocence is a very interesting experience, because it's initially very much a state of beingness where we're simply observing. It's like the stillness of the higher mind is coming online. That's the wisdom aspect of these beautiful ray frequencies activating from within. But there is no clutter within the mind, but there's also no expression of what is that next level of service work, at least for a while. It's like just to be in nature, to be outside, to do the joy, to experience the passion. And then we bring online after that time that is perfect for us. And usually these periods are about 2 years in total. And then we go into the next level, and the next level, of course, it really depends on how much time we can commit, because of course time itself slows down and then disappears, when once we release the past and we're just sitting in the ever-present now moment where the future has yet to be created. So we're in a place and space collectively where the heart is expanding into new levels of unity and love, and we're clearing then from the sacred earth and from within us abuse and misuse of power. And that's very much the Atlantean timeline. But that fallen consciousness, of course, we have experienced in so many different timelines. And so we're experiencing it now again to elevate or raise the frequency of all life on this sacred earth, because this is where we are right now. We're not only the future of humanity, we're not only the vibrating stargates and portals, but through that connection into the 144 unity grid of divine love, all life is expressing into that next level of their soul's forward evolution. And we're doing it collectively, holding that light field. And it's an absolutely beautiful thing. Simultaneous to all of this, as more light is activated and enters the body, as I expressed, you may have that sense of the consciousness expanding, and then like a sense of it contracting, because that's what we're doing. It's like we're aligning and we misalign, we expand and then we contract. And the reason for that is because we then not only have the remembrance of that level of consciousness we were and how to experience it again, but that frequency that we're in now shows us that there's still something that we're clearing in that timeline, in that frequency. And then as we can, again, compassionately, lovingly, without blame and without judgment, bring it into our loving hearts, that's again when we start to elevate our consciousness. And then as we hold our consciousness for longer and longer, so much has been activated from within, including the energy of the ray frequencies that activate through the DNA. So there's 12 in the system of energy that I use. There are 12 earthly rays and there are 6 cosmic rays. But what we're going to be just expressing or talking about today is the integration of these beautiful threefold flame of power, love, and wisdom. And one more ray frequency that comes to mind, which is this beautiful violet flame, because the violet flame, which many know is the 7th ray of ceremonial magic, or the ray of transformation. I also call it the patterns of perfection. It represents very much the patterns of perfection. Some of you may be familiar with this through the overlighting of Saint Germain, because it's just been a ray frequency that has been vibrating upon the sacred earth for a very, very long time. And it's gathered in momentum through not only the held on the inner planes collectively and imbuing all the ray frequencies coming to the sacred earth, but also through all of us as the portals of light, holding that frequency of this beautiful violet flame of transmutation, of change, of freedom, and in fact also of abundance. It's about dismantling of old structures and bringing online new structures, and that's essentially what we're doing right now. And it's simply that all ray frequencies pass through the energy of the 7th ray, or this beautiful violet flame. And others have asked me, what colors are the rays, or are they a particular color? If we talk about blue as the first ray, if we talk about pink as the love wisdom ray, if we talk about a golden yellow flame for the ray of divine intelligence, what do these colors look like? And I have to say they're all colors. They're all, or rather graduations of specific colors, and then there are other colors added to it. So it could be light blue sometimes, it could be dark blue sometimes, it could be dark pink, light pink, all these hues of particular colors hold particular frequencies and qualities within them too, that we're needing or integrating or expanding from within. And then essentially too, what we are doing is that we're using those beautiful ray frequencies to not only create our own I am avatar bodies of light, our own beautiful light bodies that are coming online in different hues and frequencies and vibrations. But when we connect it into the unity grid, into the crystalline grid, into the solar grid, these grids all extend into various levels as well, depending on the dimensions that we're working from. We are igniting and activating that from within out, and simultaneously we're receiving from out, coming in into the different areas within ourselves that are still possibly built in those templates. But the big thing that is happening is that we're also deepening into community and how we can come together in community. That's a very important aspect of New Earth, where we release a lot of the ego aspect, the human aspect, the 3D aspects of consciousness or self, and the unconscious aspects into a greater level of wholeness and consciousness and love and wisdom. And then we see how can we best come together, how can we best serve, how can we create our light centers, or how can we create the programs of light coming together and sharing that with others, because that's really what that we're needing upon this sacred earth, is that level of consciousness and light and information and expression of love that will awaken all hearts. And so I just put it out there to you, because part of what is being experienced today is not only the birthing at a deeper level of that magical innocent child, of our holy divine Christ itself, but also it's about the birthing of the next levels of our service work and bringing through a lot. The 2-2 codes are very much solar Christ consciousness. It's a crystalline consciousness. The 2-2-2 codes are very much deepening into the recognition of ourselves as initiates or priests and priestesses, and that information is coming through those ancient memories. And then the 2-2-2 codes are the expression of new levels of creation or new templates coming online collectively that will simply expand with grace and ease into the next level of our collective service work and into the next level of our collective light. So it's very much a time where we simply just are connecting into just incredible deepening heart of divine love, of divine wisdom and divine power, that power that comes from within, that is illuminated by the light of God and the reverence to deepen into sovereignty and empowerment and freedom and expression of self, where we are just the guides and new earth teachers. And really, we don't say teachers so much when we talk about new earth. We really just talk about guides. But for those waking up, they would certainly call us teachers. So it doesn't really matter what we call ourselves. I'm talking from a linear and a multidimensional perspective, and all words really are just having the same meaning. So what I wanted to do with us today is take us through just this beautiful meditation where we are connecting into the heart of Gaia. And from there, part of that experience then through the unity grids coming together in collective consciousness is the merging and integration of the divine feminine, the merging and integration of the divine masculine in creating the beautiful golden rose within our hearts. And that golden rose energy experience right now is just such a beautiful galactic blend as well of the Milky Way and Andromedan galaxies. That's really at a cosmic or rather galactic level is what we're experiencing. And within that, that first ray then really is essentially a galactic consciousness. It's a power that comes from our galactic Christ consciousness. And the feminine, the ray of love wisdom is really what starts to ignite into the third ray of divine intelligence, which is the innocence. And so everything is experienced from the holy aspects of ourselves that are merging into the galactic aspects, the Christed aspects, the galactic aspects, and then birthing that magical innocence within our divinity as the light of God we are upon this sacred earth. All right, so I'm going to take us into this beautiful transmission and just to suggest, if you may like to, is to bring yourself into closing your eyes and breathing deeply, because our breath is consciousness. Our breath is the way that we deepen into our beingness. Our breath is the way that shows us what has been experienced within our body, what has been experienced in different levels of our own consciousness and light that is activating from within to not only create that new earth frequency and vibration that we wish to experience within our universe, but that is bringing in others initially in a similar resonance and frequency, but also then extending that out upon the sacred earth and through the unity grid of divine love into Gaia, so that all those light codes are made available for all life upon the sacred earth. So let's just start with this beautiful breath of life, just taking ourselves deep into the breath. And if it feels right for you within this breath, just closing your eyes and coming into the stillness initially of the loving heart by simply breathing deep into the body, breathing in through the nose, breathing out through the nose or mouth. And just having a sense of how you're doing today, how you are feeling. And if there's any area of discomfort within your own body, just start to take this beautiful light of consciousness, your beautiful soul light, and start to move it into the body, into every subatomic particle within the body. Breathing in through the nose, breathing out through the nose or mouth. Breathing in love, breathing out love. And as this is occurring, you may have a sense of the Kundalini energy starting to ignite and activate. And as this beautiful pranic healing energy starts to move through the body, just visualize and sense these beautiful golden infinity symbols moving up and down the spine, allowing for this gateway and this passage to allow a new frequency, to allow a new dimensional shift in consciousness to occur as you lift your vibration and frequency as the light of God you are. And taking a moment to say to, I love you, giving your full name now. I love you. I love you. And as the heart starts to expand now in this beautiful threefold flame, this beautiful pink of love, wisdom, this beautiful golden yellow of divine intelligence, this beautiful blue of this first ray of will and power, forming within the sacred heart. Just allow this love and expansion of your own beautiful soul light to move into those spaces and places where you need that love yourself, into those old earth programmings, templatings, pain, trauma, grief, sadness, anger, bringing it all into the open heart as this flame of divinity, as this master being of light. As these beautiful flames now expand around the body and energy field, allowing these flames to create this powerful fire of transmutation wrapped now, this violet flame. And within the rays too, there may be different colors of gold, diamond, platinum that are energetically weaved into this beautiful threefold flame. And as you bring all the sub-personality aspects of yourself that may need your love, that may need your compassion and understanding into your loving heart, no matter how uncomfortable it may be, simply sit with this for a moment as you now breathe in love and hold the breath for as long as you can, and then breathe out all that is ready to be released. As my beloved, I am present. And the beloved, I am present of all awakening and awakened souls, ascending into new earth. We activate this beautiful threefold flame of power, love, and wisdom from within, and expand it around our body and energy field. As collectively we connect into the unity grid of divine love, into the 144 crystalline grid of solar Christ consciousness. And now, feeling and sensing the beloved higher light as the I am avatar consciousness of light. Feeling and sensing all awakening and awakened souls as we further connect into the heart of Gaia as one heart and one love and one unified field of light. And we do this initially through the expression of our own divinity, by seeing and sensing all those within our lives, sending this beautiful threefold flame from our hearts to theirs in gratitude and appreciation, no matter what the experience may have been. As we continue to breathe deep into the body, breathing in love, holding the breath, and breathing out all that is ready to be released, transmuted, fine-tuned, or dissolved. We bring to mind all the beloveds within our lives, holding them in this beautiful threefold flame, expressing our gratitude, expressing our love. And we extend this circle to bring in many of those with whom we have traveled the karmic timelines, without blame, without judgment. Recognizing at a soul level that all was chosen and simply all is choice. To awaken from the slumber of our unconsciousness to being once more conscious and awake, vibrating stargates, flames of divinity, the future of humanity upon the sacred earth. Choosing to experience our highest potential and the next level of our soul's blossoming, magnificence, and light. We deepen into the experience of our own beautiful soul now, into our purity, innocence, divinity, feeling and sensing now the light from within expanding, feeling and sensing our own energy field expanding between 30 and 55 feet in diameter around us. And within this and through the unity grid of divine love, as we connect to our soul and star brothers and sisters of the light, we have a sense of all the sacred geometries and numerologies, fractal geometries, sound and color frequencies activating from within, going up. We are ready now to go deep, deep within, to activate the light codes, the new earth templates and stargates of new earth. And this beautiful 222 gateway allows this connection to all life upon this sacred earth through their beloved I Am presence. So every man, woman, and child upon this sacred earth can experience the threefold flame, power, love, and wisdom, this beautiful violet flame, transmutation and change. As we extend our own frequency and energy, we visualize and sense within this beautiful diamond sphere, 30 to 55 feet in diameter around us, this golden flower of life, bringing online initially the codes of the priest or priestess as initiates of light, the 222 codes. And now, as we ignite ever deeper into the unity grid as one heart and one love and one unified field of light, we wrap Mother Earth and all her life, this beautiful violet flame, this beautiful blue flame of power and might, this beautiful golden yellow flame of wisdom and knowing, divine intelligence, activating to the pineal gland, allowing this frequency and energy to ignite through the pineal and into the third eye, and connect now into the loving heart. Through this ray of love, wisdom, this beautiful pink flame, and allowing simply within for all to be embraced within our loving hearts, embracing, transcending all limiting beliefs, programs, judgments, and old earth gridding, along with all levels of victim and persecutor consciousness, as we gently love and nurture all that arises from within our loving hearts and reflect it outwards in the change that is upon this sacred earth right here, right now, through the 222 codes. The shift in consciousness for all life upon this sacred earth. That is a choice. And as our body starts to gently move backwards and forwards, from side to side, as the witnessing presence of our beloved I Am, bring into our loving hearts with compassion, with nurturing, and with love, all that needs to be fine-tuned, heard, and appreciated to know ourselves as love. As we continue to breathe deep into the body, breathing in love, holding the breath, breathing out all that is ready to be released. All shallow breaths, sucking in as though sucking in through a straw and blowing out. Whatever is needed as we create from within the unified field of life. As each cell, each molecule that needs our love, experiencing photonic light and our plasma light, deepens into receiving the sun codes of light through the activation and ignition of this beautiful solar sun disk within the loving heart. And now through each one of the chakras, weaves these beautiful mini golden solar sun discs that have been experienced through the unity grid of divine love, igniting once more to lift us into that next level of solar Christ consciousness, into that which we call right now the fifth dimension. Simultaneous to this, we experience now the activation of these beautiful silver lunar discs, representing perhaps more of the divine feminine energy, the masculine and feminine merging, integrating, being experienced right here, right now, through our own divine feminine and our own divine masculine spirit, in this new alchemical balance as the phoenix rising, releasing all that needs to be released as we walk through each feeling, each memory, each emotion as the light of God we are. Reclaiming our innocence and divinity simply by expanding our soul light through each cell, through each molecule in the body. Continuing this deep rhythmic breath, observing and loving all that arises, to transcend and shift out of the old grids and into new earth, expanding the lower abdomen on the in-breath and contracting the lower abdomen on the out-breath, feeling this expansion and contraction within every cell of our bodies, knowing the innocence we are and all that needs to be embraced to birth this magical innocent child. We have a sense now of this beautiful pink ray connecting initially through our hearts into the energy of the divine feminine, into the energy of the sisterhood of the rose, the brotherhood of the light, holding this beautiful flame of love wisdom on the inner planes. Just feeling and sensing the honoring of all women now initially though, through this. Every woman within our life, our mothers, our sisters, our partners, our friends. In the reverence of the divine feminine, we connect into the energy of the divine mother. And through that connection into Gaia, we have a sense to, simultaneous to this, of connecting into the inner earth sun and the heart of Gaia, into her crystal heart, into this beautiful golden solar sun disk within our loving hearts, to the sun, central sun, great central sun, and bringing it all back into the heart as we start to create the new earth grids in reverence for ourselves, in love for ourselves, and extending this nurturing, loving energy of the divine feminine to all the women we know. Breathing in love, breathing out love. Simultaneously, we now clear the wounding of the divine mother, of the grief, sadness, pain, closed heart, as the heart expands from within. We release all distortions of the feminine. Simply reverence and love exists. the one heart of all that is. And now we have a sense of connecting to the Divine Father in this beautiful pink flame of love wisdom. To all the divine masculine aspects of self that are integrating, we further extend this beautiful pink flame out to all the men within our lives, to the fathers, to the brothers, to the partners, to the ex-partners, to the karmic mates, and to all men upon this sacred earth, allowing a reverence for the divine masculine to be programmed and created from within our bodies and to expand and pulse through the unity grid of divine love as all life shifts in consciousness, in reverence, in wisdom, in knowing, and in divine love. As we continue to breathe deep into the body, breathing in love, breathing out love. With this, we clear the heartache of the unconsciousness of humanity, of the pain within the world. Heartache of karmic relationships with our parent, with our children, with our partners, ex-partners. As we experience this, we have a sense of moving into different areas within our bodies, sensing the clearing and purification of each body part and organ as we breathe in love now and hold the breath and breathe out all that is ready to be released. And now we do this experience by working with the wisdom of the higher mind as the pineal gland is activating and allowing these ancient memories to come online. We take this beautiful golden yellow flame of divine intelligence through the third eye and connected to the third eye of all awakening and awakened souls, and a new level of reverence, information, wisdom, light, knowing, and consciousness. Wrapping Mother Earth and all her life in this beautiful golden yellow flame, which is already experiencing this beautiful pink flame, this beautiful violet flame. Feeling and sensing the pulsation of the activation through our own third eyes and from the pineal moving into hypothalamus and thalamus, to the left and right hemispheres of the brain. Breathing deep into the body, breathing out, holding the breath and breathing out all that is ready to be released. Allowing the shift in consciousness to occur. Just feeling and sensing your own consciousness shifting as your vibration and frequency is lifting. As the Kundalini or tantric channels are activating, the external lines are coming online, healing the body parts and organs. The higher mind, the wisdom of the higher mind, divine intelligence, and the core group overlighting this third ray from the inner planes, further assisting in bringing down and imbuing the sacred earth in this beautiful ray that is igniting from within, from the loving heart, around the body and energy field. This beautiful golden yellow flame of wisdom and divine intelligence, purifying the lower mind, lifting the consciousness into new earth. Feeling this connection, this group, collective consciousness as the I am avatar is. Feeling how your own energy is expanding and connecting as the stargates to all awakened souls. In your own pods of light, expanding these flames upon waves of light. And now sensing and experiencing this beautiful blue flame. This beautiful blue flame of light. Releasing misuse and abuse of power. Abuse of any kind. Experienced through the collective unconsciousness. As we experience now this ray coming through the throat chakra in new expressions of respect and honor and reverence, while fine-tuning the frequencies within ourselves and simultaneously upon the sacred earth. Just feeling the plasma light frequencies igniting through the energy of the sun, through the energy of the moon, from within, and sensing to the inner plane core groups holding this beautiful ray of will and power as we direct it through the sacred earth, through the unity grids, holding it within our core groups and into the hearts of every man, woman, and child upon the sacred earth, as well as through the throat. We can speak gently and lovingly and respectfully to one another as we've released the lesser than and better than consciousness, unconsciousness of humanity to the maximum cosmic law can allow at this time, while honoring within us we are releasing our own abuse, our own pain, dissolving and collapsing these timelines as we transcend these old memories, these old karmic timelines. And having a sense too of the timeline of the fall of consciousness, particularly the fall of Atlantis. Knowing that we're able to transcend and shift frequency out of these timelines, feelings and thoughts, simply by shifting frequency and increasing our vibration through the threefold flame within our loving hearts. We release judgment of self and judgment of others. We release blame and the victim persecutor consciousness, and the knowing that all is love, as we say to ourselves, I love you, I love you, I love you. Imoromosoaia inkaino koa. And now we bring a focus back to our loving heart. This golden solar sun disk representing our innocence and purity becomes this beautiful golden rose, Christos, Sophia. The divine alchemical marriage of our divine masculine and divine feminine spirits, releasing the subjugation, victimhood, and persecution of the divine masculine, divine feminine spirits through all timelines, parallel realities, universes, and dimensions. Held in the heart of love. We now birth our magical innocent child, connecting into Andromeda as the divine masculine, into the Milky Way as the divine feminine, merging into the galactic timelines too, of empowerment, wisdom, love. Our purity, our holy innocence, as we now anchor, activate, and integrate the codes of New Earth coming on right here, right now. As we feel and see and sense, all from deep within. We fine-tune our body, our energy, and our hologram to the maximum cosmic law can allow at this time. Breathing in love, breathing out love, feeling and sensing our purity and innocence from within, and experiencing now a new earth from the highest states, cosmic consciousness, awareness we can experience in this now. As one heart and one love and one unified field of light. As our entire body and being tunes to New Earth, allowing for these new earth grids and templates to come online from within the body to the places and spaces within where harmony and love, abundance and unity, trust and surrender, grace and ease truly exist as all that is. Imromosoaiakia, inkainokoa. As we continue to breathe deep into the body, sensing and visualizing this threefold flame of power, love and wisdom activating within the loving heart, merging the higher mind with the loving heart, collapsing and transcending all timelines, all earth griddings. We perceive and feel and experience the softness within the body, complete surrender and trust, ready to birth the next level of our new earth service work, of our new earth creations, in community, unity, and love. Assisting us to ascend from one moment to the next with greater levels of clarity, perception, and truth. Feel and sense the new earth energies and light consciousness fill our body as our light body DNA starts to activate the light codes, the light packets of information from within, the new earth greetings and templates in the experience and energy of the one heart. As our new earth consciousness replaces old earth consciousness, integrate the photonic light, the soul light, access the codes from within, unlock and expand the new earth grids, templates, stargates, and portals and vortices. As we open now, the golden door of our loving hearts into new earth, into our heaven on earth. Imromosoaiakia, inkaino koa. Good. So we just bring ourselves back into the sacred space, finding ourselves just connecting once more to the energy of the earth, to the energy of the heart, to the energy of one another, as one love, one unified field of light. As we take a moment to say to ourselves once more, I love you, giving our full names. I love you. I love you. Imromosoaiakia, inkaino koa. Oh, that feels so nice. Just coming back into this sacred space, just completely expanded, and just so beautiful to feel so many hearts connected as one, and really just moving slowly and lovingly and gently, and feeling that as we move into deeper levels of trust and surrender and our magnificence and our divinity. So it's a truly beautiful now moment that we are moving through in the sacred new earth, and all that we can experience and all that we are already doing. So just taking in a moment to acknowledge and honor our collective light tribe, our collective I am avatar consciousness, our beautiful light that shines so brightly upon the sacred earth. So thank you so very much to all these beautiful, beautiful hearts that are joining us, and all those that are going to be listening to the recording, and just all of you are just doing the most incredible and amazing work. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to spend a few minutes to take some questions. I think that might be quite nice, see where people are. I know that what I said is that I'm happy to offer some mini ray readings, because that is something that I can do. I can read your energy. And although we didn't really move much into all the expression of the rays, and I think that's also really important, because it's recognizing that we actually do experience all these ray qualities at different times, and we experience it through the plasma light, as I was expressing, and you might see those colors coming through from the sun sometimes, or you might see those different hues and shades even in your garden or when you're out in nature. And of course, the moon is bringing through that plasma light too, those frequencies and energies in different ways. Even the auroras, for those who are lucky enough to see them, that's plasma light. And many of it would hold particular qualities and frequencies and energies that we are also integrating. And in fact, there's a whole band of that electromagnetic frequency that holds plasma light around the sacred earth and is connected into the unity grid of divine love. So it's really an amazing time, because all the grids are online, and we are just, more and more of us are just awakening. So we can think of this as that ascension process that we were all going through in 2012, that shift in consciousness. That's really essentially what this is right now. So I'm going to take a few questions right now, and when you raise your hand, if you're joining us live, then what I will do is I will invite you to join us, and you can talk about anything. You can tell us about where you are, what you're doing in your life, what you're going through. Have in mind a specific question, something that you may like to ask or get some guidance from, or something that you're going through that we can share, and just offer guidance to that too. Just before I do that, there are just a couple of acknowledgements I'd like to make. One is to an incredible way show and New Earth facilitator, Lisa Transcendence Brown. Although many of my experiences are my own, I have certainly used or expressed a deeper understanding of what I share through some of her templates, New Earth templates. So I'd like to acknowledge her for that, because while many of us are moving into these New Earth templates and experiencing those levels of consciousness and just deepening into our own magnificent light, for a long time, for me in particular, it was I had no real sense of, where are we in this New Earth frequency and energy, and what's been experienced at this moment, although experiencing it, didn't really have the terminology or the words for it. So I'd like to honor Lisa as just really one of our most incredible New Earth guides. And for those of you that don't know her work, please do look her up online, because she has just absolutely incredible resources, an amazing website of so many teachings, as well as a wonderful YouTube channel. And, she really has been an ascended being for many, many, many years. So I'm absolutely just delighted to be able to draw upon so many of those beautiful teachings that she shares so freely for us. And also to mention that Lisa and her partner are moving into that next level of their service work, and those creating the templates at that high level of consciousness, and how they might show up as New Earth communities. This is really where the expression of their next level of service is coming online. So apart from sending our absolute love and just amazing gratitude for those that may be familiar with Lisa's teachings, if you're able to, at this stage, offer a financial donation, the energy of money is something right now that would really just expand and escalate that next level of the service work that they really are putting together for all of us. We're following those templates, but there's very, very few people that are creating those templates. And Lisa Transcendence Brown is one of them. So please do just consider going to her website, if nothing else. And if anything does resonate with you, just sending just an amazing donation from your heart in appreciation for all of that. Then there is one other person that comes to mind that I actually wanted to very briefly share a small story with, and that is Solundra King. A few weeks ago, probably about a couple of weeks ago, I received an email, as I'm sure many did that were on her e-list, that she was transitioning, she was passing over, and that she had had cancer for the last 4 years. And Solundra King was also an amazing light worker that has been around for many, many, many years, assisting the shift of consciousness of the sacred earth and going to so many places as well. She was absolutely an amazing, not only way shower, but grid keeper, gatekeeper. And she just did absolutely amazing activations and ceremonies in a lot of different countries and a lot of different sacred sites. And of course, just a lot of different places, and shared what she was seeing. And she did absolutely amazing art as well, and offered really just an incredible monthly sort of cosmic astrological forecast. And I really look forward to that. And I looked forward to her posts on Facebook. And so when I received that, instantly I just tuned in. And I saw so many of us holding that space for Solundra. It was probably within a 72-hour period. And I just wanted to honor her amazing, incredible light work. And that inner plane quantum connection was so strong. There were so many of us, sort of waves upon waves of light workers, just holding her in just this absolutely magnificent light of reverence and gratitude for all that she did. And really just allowing her to know that it's okay, really just it's time for you to move into where you next need to go. And we're here holding you in absolute love and reverence and gratitude for all that you have done for us. So thank you. And I wanted to share that because it just really, I feel more and more that those quantum field connections are so visible and so tangible. And that's really how we communicate in the earth as well. We don't necessarily tune in, and we experience a lot of the gifts coming online, and we talk about that. We become more telepathic. We read each other's thoughts. We connect quantumly, where we have conversations and we experience teachings. And there's so many of those other gifts, and we call them gifts initially, but actually they're not gifts. They are just a normal state of being that we're coming to remember, which is our multidimensional consciousness and coming online. So just a heartfelt call out to many that joined there, that you may have felt that connection with Solundra King at that time. So thank you for all of us that are just holding that light upon this sacred earth. All right, I think there's time for some questions. That would be lovely. Let's just have a look who we've got there. All right, good. Let me just all right, so we are going to have a look at what to do here. I think I've got Jen, I've got Heather. I'm going to put you both. I've got Heather Ribbs, you can join us, and Jane Cunnings, you can also join us. All right, good. And then we also have Sophia Norman. All right, wonderful. Good. So we will start with each one of you one at a time, where you're most welcome to ask your questions. And, you're most welcome, if you would like, to put your camera on if you would like to. So
how do we do that?
Oh, okay. I have no idea. Oh, there we go. Two of them have done it. I think they must be. There we go. There's Jen. There's Heather. Sophia, I think there must be like a little button on your side that will show you that how you can unmute yourself. How you can turn your video on. There you go. You got it. Wonderful. Great. Well, thank you for joining us. So what I did say that I would offer is mini ray readings, but before I get into doing that, let's just catch up with each of you and, just tell us your question, what it is that you might like to share. And we can start with you, Heather.
Hello, and thank you very much for all your service work and holding the light for so long. My question is personal. I've been letting go of a lot of shame and guilt around childhood molestation. And I'm just wondering, you said you can read my energy. I'm wondering if there's any advice, or can you see any blocks that I might not see, or
Yes.
I don't know what my question is.
Yes. You were just saying that you're working with a lot of clearing, but in particular around sexual abuse or abuse. So
yes.
That's actually very interesting, because that's a very, very big one that's coming up. And actually what's the last few days also, as I've been tuning in, what's been dismantled right now is the guru consciousness. And a lot of that was giving our power away. And within that too, there was a lot of sexual abuse that was actually going on. So, it's like where those that were waking up and they were still like, kind of looking outside themselves, and they found a lot of teachers and guides. And I'll come back to you specifically now, Heather. A part of that is what's been dismantled right now. So we've seen a lot of those that were so-called spiritual teachers, and it's not to say that they didn't have, some beautiful things that they were sharing at some stage, but they moved into that abuse and misuse of power, and a large one of that was sexual abuse, and it's coming up on the planet to be cleared right now. So many of us have had that experience in different ways, because we are so strong and courageous that we can actually hold and amplify that light field to be clearing not only the abuse energy that's been experienced here, but sexual abuse in particular. This is the rise of the divine feminine. This is the sacredity of the rise of the divine feminine. But when something like that happens, as you know, Heather, it's very difficult to say, oh, well, that was an illusion, or, okay, that was an experience I chose with my soul, because, of course, we may recognize that from a higher perspective. But until we reach that higher perspective, we're still traversing the 3 and 4th dimensional levels of consciousness, where we actually have to go compassionately and gently into loving that inner child, because that experience occurred when you were quite young. So whether it's the child, the young teenager, that's the person that all the time that just keeps coming up, you just love her. You just love her. You just bring it into your loving heart, because it's not only victim persecutor consciousness that's experienced, and judgment and blame, but it's also guilt, so it's like, and shame. So and what I see in that, like looking at you at that age where you were, apart from the fact that you were vulnerable and, didn't know who to trust, and you would have trust issues later, at that day and age, it wasn't really something that you spoke to people about. We live in a completely different timeline and level of consciousness, where if something happens like that to us, like, we have a voice now. Even if we're a younger person, we have a voice. There's someone that we feel possibly we can share that with. But when we are in a place where we perceive we don't have any voice, where we perceive we don't know that there's anyone to trust, where we perceive that we have to hold it in, and then the guilt and the shame starts to eat away, that's all that you've got to nurture and love within yourself, because it's no longer, you've got to honor yourself, which is what you are. It's this courageous, amazing, incredible being, that every experience you chose was because you could transcend it to know yourself as love. But in order to transcend it, you've got to go and sit with those feelings, no matter how uncomfortable they are. And in this instance for you, it's like going back to that inner child and loving her, and just keep loving her, and releasing the blame, and releasing the judgment, and releasing the anger around that, because there's still parts of that are still there. And you've got to recognize that your own anger and whatever happened was a catalyst to it. And of course, it doesn't stop the trauma of those cellular memories. But that's right now, that is what is spinning in increased light frequencies to lift your consciousness, to elevate you to a deeper level of knowing that you are loved, but feeling it. Because New Earth is a very physical experience where we're feeling at the same time as we fine-tuning and transcending. So it's like we can feel the pain if the pain is coming up, and we can just love it. We can feel the joy and we can love it. We can feel that what happened to us was wrong, and it created a whole lot of other catalysts that played out in different areas of your life. But you also recognize that there was a choice at each moment, and now that choice is simply to love and embrace. So it can take some time, particularly when old habits and patterns need to be dismantled. So the way that we do that is we look at, like, what is our toolbox? When we find ourselves in a space and place where the resentment is coming up, or the judgment, or the blame, or the old reaction, or the old way of communicating or experiencing things, it's like, what is in our toolbox? So it's either you're going to go in and breathe, because the breath is consciousness, and then you can do whatever, that resonating field of light is for you that allows that transformation to occur. or you can go and have a shower, you can go have a bath, or you can get out and walk in nature, or you can lift not only your frequency and vibration, but also the frequency and vibration of your surroundings. Crystals, music, solfeggio frequencies, there's just so much that we can do. But part of the work of New Earth is very physical. So we go right into the physical body, because all that trauma is stuck in the physical body. For you, it's stuck in it's the lungs, it's the heart, it's the liver. So it's like going right into those places and spaces that need your love. And we do that with the right foods. We give our body also the right foods and the nutrients. And you can also take for yourself, there's 2 things that I recommend what's coming up. And one is to drink crystal water. So you take your amethyst and your rose quartz and your quartz crystal, and you place them within sort of spring water, and you drink that throughout the day, because that will stabilize the sensory system and central nervous system. Because if I look at you, there's still a little bit of an inflammation of the sensory system and creates a slightly hardened arteries. So there could be at some point like also arthritic conditions. It's like a holding in, a contracting. And so we want to expand. So we need to come into that place where we can trust and surrender. So it's going in and closing the eyes and activating this beautiful threefold flame within the loving heart, and then speaking to the soul, and then loving and allowing the soul, which you are, the light of God you are, to go and embrace that child and bring it into your loving heart and just love her, just completely love her. And when there are times where that feels too difficult, get out into nature. Or there are times that feels too difficult, go and listen to some music, go and listen to something that uplifts your spirit, that uplifts your soul. So everything then is just, what can I do to allow I've got to sit with this initially until I've embraced it enough to be able to just simply send love when I need to into whatever's coming up, whatever judgment may be there. But things that have been experienced long term, or old habits that have formed around those false beliefs and judgments through the trauma that you have experienced, it takes a little time. So just know that, the more that you can take that leap of faith into trusting and surrendering your innocence, your soul light, the easier it will become to just love, because it's just compassion. It's just compassion of loving you as the innocence that you are. And what happens initially is we have 2 voices. So we have the personality, or the human, or the unconscious aspect, and then we have the soul voice, the higher selves, the beloved I am presence. And so when we are reacting, or when we start to negative self-talk, or things that are happening that is creating an inflammation, that's creating a negative reaction, what we can do is just stop and pause and breathe and listen to the voice of the soul. Because the voice of the soul is the one that will say, it's okay. It's okay, Heather. You are so loved. You are so appreciated. Just love and nurture that child and bring it into your heart. And imagine just surrounding her in this beautiful pink flame and saying, it's okay, Heather. There's nothing anymore that is going to hurt you or harm you. And I love you so deeply. And we're an empowered spiritual warrior with the light of God, with a flame of divinity. We are love. We are loved. It's okay, Heather. You just keep speaking to yourself like that until, as you embrace all within your loving heart, and some of those emotions are not comfortable initially, they start to shift, because those old timelines collapse, because they're not necessary to experience. And the ray that I get for you that's coming up is this beautiful 8th ray of, actually we also call it the ray of transmutation. And this ray, it's a seafoam green and violet colored flame. It's an extension of that 7th ray, the 7th ray of change, of transformation, but it brings through the energy of the matron, and it brings through the energy of the warrior. And so it's a new rebalancing of your divine masculine and feminine spirits, but it's done from the wisdom of the divine mother. So that's part of the energy that's coming up for you to experience, is the wisdom of the divine mother, recognizing that you are the matron, recognizing that you are the mother queen energy, that you can hold that light not only for yourself, but to hold it for others too. And you do that through just being the divine mother to yourself first. All
Thank
right.
you.
Great. Thank you, Heather. All right, let's go to you, Jen.
Hello. Thank you so much for being here today and facilitating such a beautiful, powerful experience for us, and for all of the service work you've been sharing over so many years. Um, it's funny, when you had asked about coming on, you said something about the next level of service work, and that also popped in. But then as I was sitting here and also relating to some of what Heather was inquiring about, that would be, helpful for me to receive some, because I've been doing so much service work for so long. Yet I also, I feel like there's some roadblocks that I keep butting up against, and I feel like I might be getting close. But the big one that I've been really aware of, is the wounds of that masculine and the feminine. And I feel like if I were to, analyze it, like the deepest part of my core wounding from the feminine perspective is to feel that like total despair and helplessness and powerlessness. And then recently I had awareness of also like the shame and guilt of the masculine, having had to, you know, um, exercise out of fear for so long. Like I had a big awareness release on that. And then how that shows up for me in my daily is like, my tendency is to go into that controlling, what I call the corrupted masculine, where I'm like coming from lack, coming from proving, coming from controlling. And I mean, I've been working on this for a while. And so I think the big thing that's coming up for me right now. And I think that that's impacting my next level of service work. So that's just what I wanted to bring into the energy.
Yes, nice. That's actually the theme that we're all experiencing right now, so it's really coming up, all our wounding, all the abuse, but also how we still reacting. That's still coming up because, that we integrate firstly the flame of love. So it's all the feminine energy, and we need that nurturing, compassionate, loving, so that we can start to go back into the old templatings, the old patterns, grievings, traumas, and all that has been experienced. And so you're simultaneously going through many dimensions and many timelines simultaneously, which means while you're integrating that flame of love, wisdom, and the divine feminine, you hold that beautifully, but you also still working with the 3D masculine energy, because that 3D masculine energy is what you and many others in this whole earth at that etheric level is working with, because that is the abuse and misuse of power. That is what we collectively transforming. And so it's just to be aware of not only the blame and judgment that may come up, but how not only how we react, but not only loving the trauma that was experienced. And particularly I feel for many of us as very independent women, and I use us because we're women here talking, we've had to be both masculine and feminine, and we've had to do a lot for ourselves. So you're talking about the doing energies. So to integrate the 6-dimensional divine masculine, we have to dissolve and transcend and fine-tune the frequency of the 3D masculine of abuse and misuse of power. And there's 2 ways that we do that. The first way is, again, releasing the judgment, releasing the blame, and just coming in and nurturing and loving. And this and within that also, then it's the respect. So we're releasing the victim persecutor consciousness, or we're seeing everyone as divinely equal, simply the levels of cosmic consciousness that differ from person to person, in order that we offer respect to everyone in the same way. Because once we can start to see everyone as the same as us, just in their own level of conscious awareness, then we start to be respectful and gentle and loving with everyone, rather than having to lift our voice to be heard, rather than having to be rude to someone, rather than having to shout, because all that, and I'm not saying that is how you possibly react, but there are moments when we spin out with the stress of the day, and it's like you still have a little bit, many of us, and I'm just talking as a collective, still have that abusive masculine energy because not only is it a timeline that we're clearing right now, but it's also because we've had to push ourselves. We come from the mentality from 3D, 4D, that my way to work is I've got to work a 20-hour day, or that's my way that I'm going to make money. I've got to push myself. And yet New Earth is a completely opposite. Is everything is soft and gentle. We actually just sit for a long time. What I mean by sit is that we're in the heart of love. We're in the 0 point, but we're still clearing. Ascension isn't that we stop clearing the old programs. So it's not that you're still 3D, 4D, 5D, but it's the awareness of the reactivity that you're shifting right now into deeper levels of loving, which is the nurturing being in the heart of love. And then as you're doing that and releasing more and more from the 3D, 4D timelines, so karmic timelines and the reactivity to particular triggers, if you would like to call it that, you are then starting to merge and integrate the divine masculine. But it's done sort of simultaneous. So your consciousness as the witnessing presence, as the beloved I am, is observing the behavior of the wounded masculine, but simultaneously you actually integrating the divine feminine and the divine masculine. It's the timeline of Atlantis that we're clearing, that fallen consciousness collectively, because it's the timeline this whole earth is experiencing right now. Abuse and misuse of power. And so every fiber, filament, cell within our body that has any level of resonance to what is vibrating out there in that lower level field amplifies within us that reflection or shadow aspect that is coming up to be cleared. So while you bless it, just bring the awareness to not only recognizing that you are doing absolutely perfectly and beautifully and everything is divinely perfect where it is right now, but to how you communicate, because that's the first ray energy. How you express yourself when you're feeling like that. Just take a deep breath. Just start a deep breath, because you don't have to lift your voice. And, you know, there's lots of triggers. In my instance, I've got 2 teenage boys. So you go tell that, you know, deeply unconscious, as I imagine many kids are. You know, I mean, unconscious in a way that, like, you know, they have their moments, but for the most part, they just like, you know, or kids in just that, you know, sort of low level consciousness growing up still. So, yeah, it's like just a very interesting now moment. And it's just awareness of it. It's just awareness. And when you find yourself getting into that place and space, part of it is actually just got to trust your soul, because your soul has that wisdom. And when you're still holding on to a little bit of that, you're still not completely in the trust and surrender. That's the first thing. But other than that, just keep every day with the I love yous, you know, and get yourself out into nature and plan your day where you actually fit into your day at least a couple of hours for yourself. The nurturing, the loving, the breathing, the meditating, the out in nature, doesn't really matter what it is, and know that it will fit in. Because the masculine energy that comes on from the doing, the 6-dimensional creativity, and birthing is the 5th dimension, the divine feminine. We're birthing, and then we're birthing the creativity in the alchemical marriage, which is the innocence of us. Once you get to that point, once we collectively get to that point, divine inspiration is always there, and the field of abundance is always there. That's a 6-dimensional field of consciousness and energy. It's completely there because we're programming from within the manifestations. So you can go within and start to program and manifest that next level of your reality, rather than coming from the 3D level, which is still about the strife, the struggle, the sense that, you know, you've got to push yourself. Just close your eyes and feel it first. Feel what you want to manifest. Feel what you want to program. Feel what you want to change. And as your consciousness is holding in the light body DNA is activating that, then that inner reality starts to reflect outwards, but it comes inward first. And unless you're creating that time for yourself inwards, then it's not going to reflect outwards. So that becomes quite important. But the big thing initially, you know, that I was aware for me was watch how you're speaking, because you can get a bit snappy, like in my instance, say with my kids, you know, mostly that would have been the person that I got snappy with when they just, you know, they just push you and push your boundaries, and okay, that's where they are, you know, but It's like, how do you express yourself in situations when you feel like your day has been busy and you're feeling a bit stressed, or there's a trigger, and the first thing that we do often is that we'll raise our voice, or we'll shout back, or we'll defend ourselves, or we'll be rude, or we'll think to ourselves, how dare you, or poor me, because it's a victim persecutor consciousness has been cleared. But we are still love, and we're vibrating in that field of consciousness. And all we got to do is take a breath to allow the consciousness to be experienced from within. And if we're in a place where we can close our eyes, even for 5 or 10 minutes, then we get the experience of the consciousness of what it's doing and how uncomfortable it feels, and we bring it into our loving hearts. And then we continue to breathe. And if we need to forgive, whether it's that person or ourselves, so, as I express in the higher timelines, we don't talk so much about forgiveness, because everything was a choice. But in the lower timelines, 3D, 4D, we do talk about forgiveness, because it's a nurturing, loving, and then forgiving energy that we express. And that's really what we are doing here. We are expressing that love from within that allows us to transcend and collapse and dissolve. But essentially, we're doing it all for the sacred earth, not just for ourselves. That's why we chose these experiences, not only from the karmic contracts, but actually because we're elevating the consciousness and we're doing it collectively. And there's particular timelines that we're all traveling on simultaneously, and that is coming up. So the first ray, and that will empower, that aligns us to galactic consciousness. So we've got the Christ consciousness, and then we've got the galactic consciousness. The galactic consciousness is our power. But we don't get to galactic consciousness before we clear the lower timeline, not only within ourselves, but knowing that primarily we're actually doing it for the sacred earth, because they're experiencing right now a huge shift in consciousness, which is the clearing of that abuse and misuse of power in its many expressions. And the ray that's coming up for you there, Jen, is the 10th ray of divinity. It's actually that perfect balance of power, love, and wisdom. So it's finding balance in all those areas of your life. And that is essentially, if you find that balance at a deeper level, these flames from within are just going to just activate to the flames of purification that will speed up that process for you. But it does require you to take more time for yourself.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. Thank you. Thank you for all your beautiful light and guidance and wisdom that you share with all of us too. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you. You too.
Great. Sophia, beautiful heart.
Yeah, thank you, Anrita, for your sharing gifts. And it's the first time I've ever had an opportunity to speak to you, even though I've done many of your activations. So thank you for that. And I also found that your answers to the other two women, they're very helpful for the collective in general. There's a lot of guidance there for everybody. So thank you for that. Right now I'm in Canada, so the collective energy is very, very intense here. Very, very powerful energies. So my question had to do with, I do sound healing, and I was based 2.5 years ago in Lebanon, and then things got distorted, and I was sort of in Montreal, then Greece, then Hamburg, and now I'm in Toronto, Canada. And I have to try to get my equipment back via air freight. It's a bit complicated, but so I've been doing some modified sound healing type sessions, and I did work on contract for 5 months. So right now I'm just sort of knowing, I don't know really how long I'm going to be here. And I'm waiting for my equipment to be fully in practice. I also used to do goddess circles and Kundalini dance. So now I'm kind of job hunting, and I have my own limitations of where I don't want to wear a mask, or I haven't injected anything in me. So there are some limitations, but just a little bit of guidance in sort of trusting myself in this very strange time, and maybe how to navigate it
Yes.
a little.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So I want to tell you just a little bit of your energy is still in the fear vibration. And that's really where you just got to go in into a little bit deep into that trust and surrender. The ray that's coming around you is this beautiful fourth ray of harmony through conflict that's activating from within as a ray of creativity. So it's actually is harmony through conflict, which means everything that you see as a perceived challenge is going to be transmuted into the next level of your creativity, of your gifts that you're going to express with your sound. That's the first thing. I want you to focus simply on knowing that actually what you are is a light of God with your gift of your music and your sound and your voice is actually what you're bringing to humanity. And where there are still these ripples and remnants of fear, this is coming up for you. So you're going to experience like a perceived sense of, it feels like panic attacks that are actually amplifying in the heart for you. Or you may have already been doing it. You're just kind of feeling like it feels like panic attacks here. What it actually is, it's like you're just clearing the fear around the heart. Because in your expression as pure soul consciousness, there can't be fear. And so because of the movement of everything, and then, of course, what's going on the global level, you're in a place where you're experiencing a collective consciousness of fear. So take this, apart from this beautiful, threefold flame from within, what you got to do is visualize this beautiful green flame. This for you, there's this beautiful sort of like emerald green flame or any green flame that comes to mind for you, is what you are going to utilize for your creativity, but it also calls you to be out in nature. And this, in places that are very cold, we don't want to get out so much, but getting yourself into nature and getting yourself into the rays of the sun, because the sun for you, the sunbathing, or the people call it the sun gazing, but we're not directly staring at the sun. We're actually more sort of like allowing the sun to softly shine through the trees into the energy of the eyes and the third eye. That's going to activate your pineal gland for you, which is not only going to bring online greater levels of creativity, but the ancient memories of the sounds of Hathor consciousness. So your energy is very, it's like, it's Hathor, it's Phoenician, it's, very galactic consciousness and Andromedan consciousness, which finds it difficult to be here. So part of you has been found it very difficult to be here physically on this earth. But now that's all shifting. So what you got to do is just go within, work with the flames, but mostly as the fear's coming up, sit and hold it and just go, I love you, fear. And there's nothing to fear. Really, we're in a space and place where all is unfolding perfectly, because when the fear comes up or when the anxiety comes up, what we do is that it has a voice, isn't it? It's not just a feeling. So the feeling is, I'm feeling fearful, anxious, or I don't have money for this, or I don't have money for that. And then what's happening is the little lower mind is going, okay, but you're not going to ever have enough. And who do you think you are? And you're never going to succeed. And, look at where we are right now. All of that is coming up for you, but it's just a little voice. So remember that big voice that I told you is there too. It's your higher self voice. So close your eyes, you breathe, you go within. And for you, just allow the sound codes to come out, because that's what you are sharing with humanity. And then relate those sound codes in frequency to the sound codes that you are doing to elevate the frequency of fear, the sound codes that you are doing to elevate the frequency of anxiety, the sound codes that you are doing to elevate, amplify the frequency of love or joy, but program it from within, because your light body DNA will do that for you. This is nothing that we have to do, but what we have to do is actually commit to being light here, and to commit to observing that when there's fear, when there's anxiety, when there's anger, when there's sadness, when there's lack of, that is all templating that we're dissolving and transcending, and we're fine-tuning our frequency and lifting and raising our vibration. But we do that, in your instance, with your creativity, because that's the biggest gift that you've got. And you use this time to create the new notes that are coming from New Earth to share with others. But essentially, at the same time, you want to get out into nature, because that's where you will receive the inspiration, but also the sunlight. If I look at you, there's a vitamin D deficiency. So take vitamin D2 and some sort of super green energy. because that vitamin D, take about 4 times of whatever the dosage is that they suggest that you should take, but you suffer a little bit from this oscillating emotions up and down. And part of it is a lack of light, sunlight, and that causes that field of depression for you, because the melatonin is not activating the way it should do. So the pineal gland that is activating through the sunlight for you will start to regulate the melatonin, but it will actually also start to bring online a deeper sense of your galactic connection, because for you it's the galactic connection that will bring a deeper sense of knowing of what your sacred connection to source is through your service work, soul mission here.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's very beautiful. I appreciate it.
Yes.
It feels very good, Anrita.
Yes. And just know all is well. All is well, no matter where we are and what we're feeling. It's recognizing that, that is what's clearing. And you're not that. You are just fine-tuning that frequency to the higher vibrational field of consciousness of who you are as soul light, as source light, as the flames of divinity, as the light of God, as your beloved I am presence, as God consciousness. We are all. And it's only the little mind, the negative ego, doesn't want to surrender. It will always, that's why we're brought to our knees sometimes with perceived challenges, where we're putting up our hands and praying, we're going, please God, no more. And that's when the soul can take over, but it doesn't take over as such as it's when we surrender to the soul. That's essentially what happens. So, that's really how it works, is that trust and surrender, but it comes from within. And it comes from within when you take the time for yourself. And mostly, it's like not sitting there and running around and being busy. It's closing your eyes and going within, or being out in nature. That's where you're going to find your divine inspiration. And in your instance, there's a new voice coming to. So that's really, just know that, just sit and play, just jam in whatever way works for you and in your creativity, because it's you're going to experience new levels of inspiration that is coming through from that beautiful green flame, igniting from within, but also connecting you to others that are also working on that ray, because it's not just singular. This is where you also feel alone. This is a collective consciousness that we feel through Gaia and the unity grid to others in the quantum field, experiencing the same ray frequencies, the same energies that we are integrating. It's like a collective union of frequency and light. And it's like imagine yourself energetically in a pod of others that are harmonizing to your ray tones that you are, or vocal tones, sounds that you are creating, which you're doing for humanity and yourself. All right. Okay, Sophia.
Thank you. Thank you. Very beautiful.
You're most welcome, beautiful heart. All right, we are going to have one last call today, and that is with Sandra. So, what happened? Oh, Sandra.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
You can?
I
I can't see
and
me.
we saw you for a minute. Did you
Okay.
take the video off? I think we saw you for a minute and the video went off.
Oh, I see it. I see it.
Yes. You good?
I'm coming.
Here we go. All right.
Oh, Anrita.
Yes. So, hello.
Aloha.
Aloha to you, beautiful heart.
I'm so happy to connect with you. Thank you so much. I just love you and appreciate you so much. And I miss connecting with you live. And I'm just so happy to be here with you. If you have any messages for me, great. All the other messages seem to just really resonate with me. And I guess the biggest thing is I just don't want to be fat anymore. And I've made so many changes, on my diet and everything, but it's still apparently not enough, and I'm just not sure what else I need to do.
Yeah, the overeating is very common for us in different stages. We actually go through different eating patterns, but in that initial stage, when we're clearing a lot of the trauma and we're clearing like stress and so and perceived lack of, then we're often doing the carbs. We're doing the high carbs. So one of that, of course, is recognizing that there's still some level of perceived trauma and stress that you're releasing. And so when you eat comfort food and you eat things high in carbs, for example, of course, for a while, it's, the serotonin levels are giving you a sense of well-being. That's probably why a lot of people eat chocolate too. But daily habits of this, will cause less of a positive reaction in the body, because if I look at your body energetically, the digestive, the gut and digestion are actually, there's a lot of problems. There's like candida, there is irritable bowel syndrome, there is like stress along the intestine, there is kind of like a lot of stuff that's going on there. The body's too acidic, the body's got too much sugar in it, and it's almost like, I wouldn't say diabetes, but like pre-diabetes. It's like, you actually have to be careful as well with what you eat. And then the more you feel like you've got to control or restrain, that's when you overeat. So it comes back down to nurturing and loving. And then in your case, like, really just getting a plan that is more healthy eating. The protein is a very good, like nuts, avocados, broccoli, even if you're eating dairy, cheese, and, kind of eggs and things like that, and then having like just much smaller portions of, the sweet treat, or just one a day to start with, and then moving from there. But my suggestion is very definitely cut out gluten, because you've got a gluten intolerance. The gluten's not agreeing with you, and it's like you're having problems with the insulin in your body also. So there's a lot of things that are going on with your body, and it's like really related to perceived trauma and related to perceived stress and lack of, and kind of like finding your joy in life. For you, your joy is sitting with your donut or your sweet and watching your TV or telly or Netflix or whatever. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing at all, but it's an old habit, and it's not supportive to the newest frequency and energy and vibration, which asks you to take time within yourself, to get out into nature more, to be watching your diet. So, for you, it's like taking things that are going to move the digestion, cutting out the gluten in particular, cutting out the fizzy drinks, cutting out everything, and really sort of allowing yourself to feel in another way what you're feeling. And that also for you comes through the wisdom of the higher mind. And that's what activating for you is the pineal gland. It's the third way of divine intelligence. It's shifting your consciousness to the observational field of what you are experiencing right here, right now, into what you're needing to do is observe your patterns, your habits, your behaviors, because there's a lot of old things that are still being dismantled and being cleared and being purified. This is like an ongoing process of purification at each level that we go to. So drinking the purified water for you, something like diatomaceous earth every morning, a teaspoon of that for breakfast and for lunch. And then you can also now and then, like probably for a couple of weeks, I would add activated charcoal, and and just get out walking as much as you can. Just get yourself out walking. If you usually spend X amount behind the screen, spend X amount less. That's the way that that you see, when we change habits, that's the problem with that many of us have, is that habits are difficult to break, because we're used to repeating the same pattern. You may have had egg and toast or bacon and jam for breakfast for forever, because that's what you're used to. And suddenly it's like to try something new and something different. And it's like, I don't know if I can. Oh, I like that idea, but I don't know if I can, because the old habits are so entrenched. And that's what we really got to do. We got to like dive in there and start to change those habits. But if you try and do everything at once, it probably is not going to happen. So you want to, try and, just do one thing at a time. So for you, I would say focus on the food and focus on taking more time in watching really or listening to that which really is resonating with your frequency and energy of high vibe content, and see how you go with that.
What do you think about, because in 2013 is when I went vegan, but when I moved here 2 years ago, I found a vegan store that makes the vegan donuts and cookies and cakes. And for those 7 years before that, I had never had any of that. I made all my own food. And so I have kind of, what do you see my body needing any meat or anything like that? I hope not, because I don't want that to be part of my problem. I want to continue on the vegan, but I know I need to make more choices and not have those sweets, and even though they are vegan or whatever.
Yes. Well, it's certainly a personal choice, and I know in different stages of our growth, like some people will eat meat, protein, organic, free-range chickens, organic meats, but it's still a very dense frequency for our bodies, and of course there's a lot of ethical issues around that. But what I found, for me personally, is that the vegan diet works best. But it's some people are vegetarian, some are vegan, some are eating kind of meat still because their body's needing that, and that's really okay. So it's just honoring where you are. But what I'm suggesting is that there is a lot of variety of lovely things that you can do, and just sweet things, because your body is wanting sweet, and you can replace like sugar with xylitol or honey, and make beautiful mango and blueberry and banana smoothies and salads, and celery, carrots, beetroot juices, and cut out the gluten, cut out the breads and the pastries and anything that's not wheat free, and do the rice and the wheat-free breads or the sprouted wheat, or there's so many different options. So it's like sitting down and finding that, and then like implementing slowly, because if you're trying to rush everything, it doesn't always happen. It's like just one step.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Sandra. I think I'm going to end it there for today, because the time is moving on. I just wanted to, just very much thank everyone that joined us today, and, to all the lovely messages that we received too. Everyone just saying thank you so very much. And the message to Sandra is 100% exactly what I needed to hear. So she's also been saying, Sandra, that she's also got the symptoms of sensitivity to gluten, trauma, working with all of that too. And and just messages of appreciation. I think there is one more person that we can probably connect with. Let's have a look, see who's coming through there. We will take these last two calls. Here's Peter. He sent a message. He's saying, I'm a starseed, a nurse practitioner, and energetic healer. I'm involved in multiple modalities of healing, the Alton Cadman Order of Melchizedek, Reiki. He's been through multiple shamanistic rituals for healing and soul retrieval ceremonies. So let's catch up with Peter for a moment and see if he might like to join us, as well as Anusha, Christopher. So let's catch up with both of you. All right, wonderful. All right, great. Hi, Anusha. Hi, Peter.
Great.
Hello.
Yes, we'll start with you, Peter, because we were just reading a little bit about you. So welcome.
Hey, thank you very much, Anrita. It's a pleasure being with you. Can you hear me?
We can hear you perfectly, yes.
Oh, yes. Thank you very much. It's my first time attending your live session, and it's a pleasure being here. And I'm
Yeah.
a nurse practitioner here in the United States, and I've been doing energy work for quite some time. And also, I realized that once I opened that vortex as a vessel of light, I've been under a lot of serious attack from negative energies. So it's a blessing today to be part of this program, because I just completed today 12-day cleansing program and meditation. And it's like a pretty top and the best of it all to close it down. So I want to ask you if you can read my energy and see what you find, and why do I keep going through these different attacks, these different um, intrusion from the negative energy that try to maybe come against my my vibrations. Thank you.
So you were saying that you were being as like a lower astral entity that has been attacking you?
Yes,
Okay.
quite a lot. Like covens and my community have been coming against me because I've been praying with bringing trying to raise the vibration and trying to bring more light, and they've been seeing that, and they've been like coming against me in various dimensions. Yeah.
Oh, so you saying the community that you were part of is not happy because you are changing and shifting your frequency, and so they are trying to create some sort of disharmony for you, that they are
yes
in different ways. Okay. Well, firstly, I want to express that, from New Earth, we don't talk about protection, because the moment we're talking about protection, we're closing our heart. Am I needing to protect myself? Whether it's from darker people, whether it's from others, whether it's from lower astral entities, whether it's from unconscious humanity, what we've done then is we've already jumped into perceived separation between them and us, isn't it? So you're still sitting in this place of perceived separation. So in perceived separation, there's always victim persecutor consciousness. There's always how dare you and poor me. So you're still in that loop and that cycle. So although you are working on yourself, as we all are, and raising your vibration, you're still clearing those lower timelines too, as so many of us are too. So the way that you've got to go about this is that you firstly have to have compassion and love for yourself. You have to have compassion and love for Peter and everything that Peter does. And you've got to release judgment from yourself, because when we're judging others, we're essentially judging ourselves first. So you've got to release that judgment from others and just deepen into compassion, because compassion is the highest form of love, but it's also that nurturing. It's your feminine energy. It's your nurturing, gentle, loving energy. And you do that so well in giving that to others, but it looks like it feels or perceive that sense of nurturing doesn't extend so much to yourself. It's like you give it to others, but there's still then the caveat of, what am I getting in return, which is a 3D level of consciousness. And when you don't, there's a perceived compromise that occurs, and then the anger that comes up there. So you've got to stop giving to those that aren't matching something. And it's not that we expect something in return in New Earth, because everyone is stepping forward and, through the heart of love and doing what they can. But if you're around people that aren't feeling that same way, or can't step up and take responsibility and make decisions and join in partnership to whatever has been experienced in whatever level of communication is being experienced, then those are the people anyway that you don't really want in your reality. You're going to take that energy and frequency as you shift consciousness and simply collapse those timelines of old friends and old energies. And perhaps that's where you are. You're in the new level of birthing your new earth in a way that is your highest potentiality. And that's the ray frequency I get from you, for you, is the 9th ray of highest potentials. And that connects into the divine 8-cell blueprint. But it's also deeper levels of connection through Sirian consciousness. It's a galactic frequency, but it also connects into deeper levels of soul embodiment. So that consciousness shift for you is the awareness of twofold. One is, I'm still working on dismantling the old earth templates, false beliefs and judgments through my own level of judgment. And what I can do is love myself more, not less, and open my heart fully to receiving the light of my soul. Simultaneous to that, I can be aware that I'm still reactive to those within my environment and community that are perceiving me to be different and are trying to hold me back into what is the old when I am experiencing now the new. And with love and gentleness and ease and grace, I release them from my field. Because there is no need for disharmony. There is no need for conflict. There is no need of judgment and blame. So that is the area that you're going to work on, and also get yourself out into nature more. So too much time spent indoors, too much time spent on the computer, too much time spent indoors and in the head. So when we're in nature, we drop, we go into feeling, we go into, it's like getting into your feeling body more. And releasing the perception also that you need to be something. Like in your mind, it's like I still need to achieve and be something. We are everything and nothing in the earth, which means releasing every lost identity. We don't need to be anything. We just are who we are. And what other people think of us, it's their business. It's not our business. It's only when we're still considering like other people's feelings and thoughts, and okay, it's different maybe if it was your partner or your family or something, and and there is some miscommunication, you'll work it out if you can, hopefully. But people in your existing community that don't see the reverence and respect or value, then it's not where you need to be. You'll find that community. The deeper you go in your authenticity, the greater you're going to be matched by those of the same intensity of frequency of vibration of light and authenticity. Isn't that so?
Yes, absolutely. You said it just right. Thank you.
You're welcome, Peter. You're welcome. All right, great. Good. So we shall take one last call, and can you pronounce your name for us? I think it's like
Anushya.
Anushya. All right.
Anushya Christopher.
Yes, what a beautiful name, Anushya. Joining us from Bangalore in India.
It's an honor. I'm part of the Melchizedek Ambassadors Training Program through Alison Melchizedek.
Okay. Yes.
And thank you so much. You've changed my life. I listen to you every day, and it's beautiful, really. What I wanted to talk to you about was I have, of course, the spiritual journey has brought me to a lot of slate cleaning, and I've given up non-veg. I've started exercising. I've gotten into intermittent fasting. I am doing a lot to make sure, breaking the old habits and all. But I'm still stuck in a place. I've lost weight, but the body is still hormonally imbalanced. There's still thyroid. It's dry. The skin is dry. The cheeks are drooping. The chest is drooping terribly because it's all just dry. I could be pre-diabetic, and I don't look as good as I used to look. I know I've had a lot of bad habits, but I have cleaned up, and I can't. I want to be a good light worker. I want to be able to resonate a lot of light, and I'm working on my mat program. But there's a lot of pride also. There's a lot of pride. There's a lot of do. Fit as much as you can into a little space of time. Like right now, I'm like, I hope I tell her everything I need to tell her, so I can get all my problems solved.
Yes.
And
Well, I think that
around my mom, dad, possible issues around I lost my dad 2 years ago. So
okay.
Is something going to happen to my mom? It's weird, yeah.
So there's some fear that around that of being on your own. There's some fear that if something happens to your mom, or you're saying that you don't have a good relationship with your mom. I
have a beautiful relationship with her. Not too beautiful, but I lost my dad 2 years ago. So there's that fear of she's healthy.
Losing your mom.
No problem with her, but
Yes. Well, the first thing that I want to say is like just recognize where you are and just be appreciative of where you are and how far you've come. Just every day say to yourself, and Nushia, you've done so well. You're just absolutely amazing. Well done to you. Look, you had the discipline to create many of the changes that you want to see within your life. And that is also the ray that's coming up for you, is that first ray of will and power, this beautiful blue flame. And so it's to recognize that, from a linear perspective, everything takes time. And that, it's like also we start to age more just before our physical ascension. That, everything is like, if you say, oh, my skin's dry, or this is happening, or whatever, it's also to recognize actually that's part of when we're clearing and detoxifying and purifying, we can look a little bit older than what we are for a while. And then the crystals kick in, the crystalline consciousness starts to activate, and we become more crystal and light. And there's a lot of different changes that occur in the body for us from a physiological perspective. But it's also to just honor where you are, and rather than pushing, because you're still pushing, you're still trying to do rather than be. So this is the thing, is like when we're being and we're breathing and we're going in, our body, our soul tells us what we need, because our light body is our soul, and that's what we're creating. So your soul will start to tell you what foods it needs. And in different stages of your ascension journey, you may need different things. Like sometimes when the pineal gland is activating a lot and you might feel nauseous the next day, it's like sometimes you'll need potato chips, or you'll need chocolate, or, sometimes I'll just need protein, or other times like I'll go only much later in the day I'll eat, and then I'll just eat very lightly. And other days I'm absolutely very starved and absolutely ravenous. So rather than saying to your body, this is what you must eat each day, and you can't eat this and you can't eat that, and this is just where we're counting our calories, is when we start listening to the body intuitively as the light of God we are, as we deepen into being that soul frequency that expresses not only in all that we are, but in our food choices. You will find that the body will say, this will be good for me, and that will be good for me, or this doesn't work for me. And one of the ways that you can fine-tune that, at least initially while you are expanding your awareness into what's working for your body and what's not, rather than trying to control what you should have and what you shouldn't, is you can use your body as a physical pendulum. So you can hold whatever it may be, like let's say this is my glass of something, and I'm going to say, does this work for my body? And if it's a yes, your body will swing forward. And if it's a no, your body will swing back. So you are then using your body as a pendulum for what works for you and what doesn't. This is also one of my beautiful little Andarian energy.
Okay. Nice.
Andarian babies. Just love these Andarian crystals.
What is Andarian?
It's amazing. Yes. So what I'm suggesting to you with this ray that's coming through is like, this is an opportunity for you to not only trust and surrender deeper, but to trust your body as your temple of light, to allow the divine intelligence of your body to link through your mind and heart to the awareness and consciousness of what your body is wanting to eat and experience in each now moment.
Okay.
All right, my sweet friends. So I am going to, you're most welcome, and thank you for joining us, and big hugs and much love to you. All right, thank you. Thank you. Namaste. Namaste. All right, beautiful hearts. So I wanted to just thank everyone for joining us today. I wanted to lastly mention that I'm starting a monthly membership, and each month we will do one of these beautiful sessions, but you will also receive a 90 minutes light encoded transmission, and then we will also do a private sharing, very much like we did here today, where you can ask your questions, and I can read your energy. That's one of my gifts, and express on different levels what you may need or could use to elevate your consciousness and deepen into your service work, and just really show up as the best version of what you are, which is a magical master being and flame of divinity. So if you might be interested to come and join us, you can go to voicesofthelighttribe.com/membership. And it's just a lovely way for us to come together in community and unity right now. And I feel that that is really so needed at this sacred moment in time. So I look forward to further reunion of hearts, whether you're joining us on our monthly public broadcasts as we deepen into New Earth and all that is, or whether you join us in our membership portal. So from my heart and to yours and to the cosmic heart of all creation, blessings in love. And thank you so much for all that you are doing, as collectively we are the light upon this sacred earth. Namaste.